Hello everyone, welcome to my video. I have some clips of my playthrough in this video, but I have the whole thing on the streams tab in my YouTube channel, so make sure to check that out if you want. I will also be live streaming Sonic Adventure 2 in my streams as well. And with that said, let's get started. Sonic Adventure is a game with 6 campaigns, each with different gameplay styles, released in 1998. They all interlock, and each campaign gets a piece of the story when to call at a random point towards the end of every campaign shows them a short cutscene of the Knuckles clan. In the story, generally, there are hub worlds that you can use to interact with NPCs, unlock levels, and enter levels mostly. Eggman, before the start of the story, found his stone tablet, freed Chaos, and tried to give him Chaos Emeralds to make him more powerful to do his bidding. Now, I'm going to talk about Sonic's story. Sonic's story is awesome, and in my opinion is probably the most well done campaign of the entire game. Today I think I'll try something different. Instead of doing a story synopsis, I'll just say my thoughts on the story, and see how that goes, partially for pacing, but also because it would take forever to write a script of the full story of this game. In the story, Sonic generally goes on a wild goose chase trying to get the Chaos Emeralds before Eggman does, and Eggman steals them while evolving Chaos further, meeting the other characters along the way. One thing that I like about Sonic's campaign is the gameplay for Sonic's levels. It's no doubt the best gameplay style. That's not to say that I don't like the other styles of the game, it's just that this is the one I like the most. It's just Sonic, and you move fast, mostly by interacting with the environment compared to other gameplay styles. In this game, he says a lot of one-liners, and the animations are a choice, but for me, that's part of the charm. They even foreshadow the ending in the Lost World level towards the end of the campaign, but for the levels, my favorites are Windy Valley, Emerald Coast, and Lost World. I just like the aesthetics of the levels. They look really nice. I really get the vibe that I'm on a beach, or whatever the level theme is. There was one time I actually got stuck on the Egg Viper boss at the end. For the first time beating level Skydeck, I actually got stuck multiple times and it took me an hour just because, I suck and it was my first time. I don't like the Sky Chase minigame, which is a pretty boring minigame that there's no way to speed up, and you have to do it twice, in Sonic's campaign, and again in Tails' campaign. I think the story here is mostly engaging enough. In Sonic's theme, It Doesn't Matter, is a really great theme that talks about Sonic's morals and why he does things. It works well. Now I'm gonna move on to Tails. Tails' story is about Tails learning to be more independent and trying to do stuff by himself. For example, in the end, he tells himself that he can do things without Sonic, and then races Eggman to a missile. In addition to everything that happened in Sonic's story, it's also just that things are presented more from Tails' perspective. The gameplay is just trying to race Sonic to the Chaos Emerald at the end of the level. I personally think it's fun to fly around in Sonic's levels. Even if the gameplay is not challenging, I still kind of find it fun. I find Tails' voice to be not actually that bad here. I kind of like it. I also like how Tails is presented in the story in general. I think it works pretty well in the campaign. It's also one of my top campaigns in the story. It's short but sweet. I really like it. Knuckles' story is pretty unique, as the whole focus of the game's story in the background is about the Knuckles clan from thousands of years ago. Unfortunately, the game doesn't do much about this, which I find disappointing. Seeing how Knuckles would have reacted would have been probably interesting to hear. Knuckles' campaign starts pretty early in the story, where Chaos breaks out of the Emerald, scattering the pieces. The main story and gameplay are that Knuckles needs to find the shards of the Chaos Emerald scattered across 5 separate levels. I mostly find the gameplay mediocre because I'm not very interested in finding emeralds. I don't think it's bad, I just really don't like it because it's more slower and RNG focused. Knuckles' story focuses more on being content with guarding the Master Emerald, as that's what he says. Of course, Eggman tricks Knuckles, because it's Knuckles we're talking about here. He always gets tricked. I mean, he was literally tricked in the last game before this. Big the Cat's campaign is the most separate from the rest of the story, and is more low-key. It was created to show off the water graphics of the Dreamcast. As for the story, it's generally just Froggy repeatedly leaving Big, and Big repeatedly going to fish him out again. The finale is essentially just Frog getting stuck in Chaos 6 and Big fishing him out of the boss. As for gameplay, I should probably talk about the elephant, or rather the cat, in the room. Big's gameplay is, frankly, the worst of the entire game. The controls are very unintuitive. In my first playthrough, I did not know what to do. I eventually learned how to pull Froggy in later on. The controls are just so buggy, the gameplay sucks, and almost everyone I know dreads this playthrough. The story is pretty dumb just because it's more laid back, and Big the Cat is definitely not the greatest character in my opinion. The music is a vibe as always though. This next campaign is one of the most emotional stories in the entire game. He's quite a complicated robot. This story is about one of Eggman's robots called E102 Gamma. He does some missions for Eggman. While doing that, he goes to take Amy's bird that she took in her campaign. Amy shows sympathy for the robot, which causes him to think about what he actually wants to do. He gains independence from Eggman and starts freeing the animals inside his other robot brothers one by one. After he beats Beta as the final boss, it is revealed that Beta has one of Birdie's siblings inside of him, powering him. Beta gets one last hit on Gamma, which eventually breaks Gamma, revealing that the other sibling was powering Gamma the whole time. One thing that really sells this is the music. The music just makes the whole thing hit harder. As for the gameplay, I think it's fun. You really just try to get to the end before time runs out, and the timer gets added for each thing you shoot, and it increases with combos. I think it's pretty fun and the story definitely hits. I'd say it's my third favorite story. Now, Amy. I would say that Amy has one of the worst campaigns. Why would I say that? Well, it's because the gameplay is just boring. That's because Amy is very slow, and most of her gameplay is just running from Zero, one of Eggman's robots, which just ends up making it pretty boring. There are some interesting moments, but it's mostly just completing levels. At the beginning of the story, she finds a bird and is eventually taken to Eggman's ship. She realizes she wants to be more independent and decides to help the bird by herself. One of the events that I described earlier happened in Gamma's story, because they intersect. Birdie finds their siblings, and after that, Zero hits Amy, which prompts Amy to finally destroy Zero, ending her campaign. One thing I want to talk about is the versions of this game. There's the original Dreamcast version and the DX version. The Dreamcast version is the original 1998 version, and DX is the port. DX has different, higher poly models and 60 frames per second, but has broken lighting and bugs. The PC version with the Dreamcast conversion mod is what I played, and it's what I personally recommend to anyone playing with a computer. The Dreamcast conversion mod essentially fixes a bunch of issues with DX, such as the textures and bugs. There's another mod that can add back the lighting system. Now I want to talk about the music a little bit. The music is really good. It's very fitting for what it's playing. The electric guitars are awesome, and the Emerald Coast theme is really good. The final boss theme, Open Your Heart, is awesome, and totally sets the vibe of the boss fight. It's just really good. What I like about this game is that all of the character themes are really good, and encapsulate the character well. Rap for Knuckles is a really perfect choice in my opinion, and it works really well. It's a very solid soundtrack, and you can't go wrong picking a single song out of the soundtrack. As for the general overarching story, it's mostly about the Knuckles clan and its history, as it has an entire hub world dedicated to it, so I should probably talk about it. Essentially, thousands of years ago, Chief Pachacamac, I hope I said that right, was feeling hungry for conquest to expand his empire. He wanted to use the Chaos Emeralds to make sure they were victorious. When Tikal heard of this, she tried to stop them, but failed. This resulted in them trampling on the Chow, which made Chaos angry, and he wanted to destroy the world because of it. As a result, Tikal sealed herself, along with Chaos, into the Chaos Emeralds until the events of the game. At the end of the game, Chaos reveals his intent to betray Eggman, gets the final Chaos Emerald, and wrecks Station Square. Sonic uses the positive power of the Chaos Emeralds and beats Perfect Chaos. Tikal and Chaos rise into the afterlife, ending Sonic Adventure. As for some general thoughts, this game is just definitely worth playing. It has an energy to it with the story, gameplay, and music that not much else is like. It's awesome, and I don't think the camera is good, but I kind of like the game anyway. It has some cool moments like Ice Cap Zone, and I like the story's themes and what it focuses on. This game is different from the classic games. I mean, well, obviously, because it's 3D, but I do actually like it more than the classic games just because it has a whole nother dimension to work with, along with an actual full story. The level design is closer to the classics than other Sonic games, but I do like the more open direction it goes into. One random thing I would like to mention is that I really like the NPCs in this game. They have their own separate storylines, and I find a lot of them funny or interesting, and they advance along with the plot. There's this one girl in the burger shop who has a crush on this guy working in the burger shop, and you get to see what happens. One thing I don't like is the boss fight Chaos 4. It's in 4 of the campaigns, and it's timed, and so there's no way to do it faster. It's just slow and boring. Well, I guess that ends the video for now. Make sure to check out my Sonic Adventure 2 streams that will be coming soon. Should be shortly after this video ends. Well, goodbye for now.